Hey guys, hanging out with Andrew Lucius. Andrew, you're on staff at Charleston Southern. Is
Yes,
that
that's
right?
right. That's
Tell me
right.
your role there.
So I am the assistant professor of music and worship leadership, and then I direct and oversee all of our worship leadership curriculum, worship events on campus, like our chapel bands and those kinds of things.
What are you seeing maybe the last few years coming out of COVID or whatever? What are the trends? Are you seeing a lot more excitement for the field? Is it decrease? Kind of give me a temperature check.
Yeah, great question. So I was in ministry during COVID. I was one of those pastors, worship pastors, that was leading to a church with no one in the building,
Yeah.
and how discouraging those moments were. I think for the worship education scene, it felt the impact of that as well. Our program specifically is a great indicator of that. We had 4 majors in our program 2 years ago, and I think primarily as a result of COVID. Now we're seeing significant growth, 20 and upwards, in the program now. So I do think that we've overcome and come past a lot of
Mm.
the problems that COVID created for us. And so I'm optimistic looking to the future. The need of the church is great, and I see the Lord raising up students to meet that need.
Gotcha. You're doing a breakout today on volunteers.
Mm.
Give me some highlights of what you're going to share there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I want to share, and I'm really preaching to myself here, is that when we are engaging with volunteers, recruiting volunteers, we're not just trying to use people. We're trying to create spaces for pastoral care, for ministry. I think a lot of times our default is, I need somebody to fill this role. It doesn't really matter who that is.
Good.
And when we move into that default, I think what ultimately happens for our volunteers is they feel the impact of that. And then when they no longer can
I'm in the
serve.
perf. Right.
Yeah, exactly right. When they no longer can serve, for example, a woman who may have a family, a growing family, and she can't serve like she once could. What does that say about her identity in the church? I think a lot of people feel that and they think, well, I'm not really useful here anymore. I can't really serve. And so what I want to press our breakout attendees to is the idea of belonging being such an important part of having a volunteer ministry that's thriving. We need our volunteers to not just believe they're there because of what they can offer us, but because we value them as people.
Yeah. So I was at a really large church, and I was the video director,
Yeah.
and there was always a tour of volunteers that would come around, and the volunteers that were doing the staff members that were taking the volunteers around would like look into the tech room,
Yes. Right.
say, if if you like to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be here all day, and if you're a behind the scenes person and a nerd and this is a great place for you. That's like,
Sign up. Right.
I'd listen to that going, I don't want, I'm in the room and I don't want to serve beer. Like, why are you saying that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can totally feel that. Like, I got to the point where I'm like, I would tell the staff member, hey, let me do the little spiel when y'all come by,
Right.
when you bring the group. And so I would approach it with, hey, we create the experience here. Who in this group either accepted Jesus or is growing in their faith by being in a worship experience here?
Yeah.
Hands go up. That's what we do.
That's right. That's
We
good.
we help people come to know Jesus and grow in their faith
Yeah.
by pushing buttons.
That's right.
And by moving faders,
Yes.
right? It's not about pushing the button and moving the fader.
Yeah.
It's about the people
That's
and
right.
the lives that we're touching. So I love that kind of
Yeah.
turning around, that it's about pastoring, it's about community, it's about
Right.
even in the nerdy tech world.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, and you don't have to be a pastor to do that,
Correct.
right? Just a leader of.
Or your title doesn't say pastor, but you're a pastor.
That's
You're
right.
in
That's right. You're filling that ministry role for people, and I think we all, in our American culture especially, feel the relentlessness of busyness. And if we're adding on to people's already busy schedule, hey, come at 5 and be here all day.
right.
I think we're probably unaware of what the people really need if we're really pressing that as a primary part of their volunteer ministry.
Do you see that with the tech space or the visual media space, more people going into that, or maybe worship leaders on your side having a need for that? How does that kind of
Well, we keep talking about COVID. I think this is another thing that came out of that. During that time, we saw a lot of technology change, a
Mhm.
lot of technology price points drop, and every church was moving to some kind of live stream online
The tech
platform.
guy became the hero.
That's exactly right. I mean, yeah, he really was. If he wasn't there, if he wasn't doing his job, there was no church happening, right? So I think it's become ubiquitous with faithful worship ministry now. You have to have that component, which for us in the academic setting means we've got to train students to at least have some familiarity with these things.
Right.
So whether it's trending up or not, I think we'll see.
Mhm.
The need of the church is certainly trending up. Will we have people to fill that need? That's the question.
Are you adding more majors, more classes, more things like that in tech world, visual media world at Charleston Southern, or
We've thrown around the idea of a production major, and I think that probably is on the horizon for us. It's just a matter of when that launches, and that's to meet not only the need in the church, but just the need in our culture of so many things moving to online streaming platforms. But I think there's a really easy connection between what we're doing in worship ministry and a production major or minor. So yes, we're constantly thinking through those things. We've also added more classes within our curriculum that address technology needs, things like Ableton, Dante,
right,
DMX, lighting, all those things that, for me, I had none of that. So
right,
it's getting into ministry and it's okay, well, we're going to reserve today to watch YouTube videos on how to route DMX cables,
right,
and
right.
yeah,
Coming out of university, when your students are graduating,
yeah,
what are some of the biggest struggles that they're having moving into a church setting?
yeah. It's not musical. And I don't even think it's technical for our students because being digital natives themselves, the technology part of it just seems to come so naturally to them. That's a generalization, but I think it's true on the whole. Uh, Musically, I think our churches require very little now musically. And so what we're training students to do there is beyond proficient for what the worship of the church needs.
Mm.
I think where I'm seeing the greatest struggle is probably, just speaking really honestly here, probably character and maturity.
Hmm.
Again, we're talking about 21-year-olds,
Mm.
right? So these are very young leaders of the church.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's one of those things as we get into ministry, we grow so much. There's only so much we can teach them at Charleston Southern or any university. And I think that presses towards the need of the church to be involved with the training of these students. We can't train them if we are the only training tool they get. All they've gotten is theoretical knowledge that
Mhm.
I think lets them down as they get into the church.
Mm.
So we need more church engagement. We need to press students more to be involved with the local church. So things like character, spiritual virtue, maturity, knowing how to handle people, all of those things can grow because I'm not seeing students quit or be terminated from their positions because they're not musically gifted or they don't know how to operate technology. It's most of the time related to conflict
Mm.
management, and character virtue issues.
Are you finding that when they come out of your program, they're expected to know more spaces? Like, is the worship leader now responsible for the tech team, the creative team, the communications team? Are you finding that or no?
Yes, and I think one of the reasons is because we have fallen into this temptation of comparing our church to other churches that are leading our convention in different ways.
Mhm.
Those other churches may be quite large, they may have larger budgets than we do, and so I think we end up holding ourselves to unreasonable expectations,
Mm.
and where that often falls, at least in the media side of things, even visual arts sometimes or social media fall to the worship leader.
Right.
And that's just not something that I think a lot of our worship leaders are gifted at, trained to do. And I think it's rooted in the idea of we want to try to reach beyond where our church is gifted or where our leaders are gifted, and not be satisfied with who's here
Do
and
you
who's able to lead
encourage
us.
the pastors in those settings to, hey, this is what we're training the worship leaders to do. You might need to look somewhere else for these other skill sets. Do you have interaction with those
Yeah,
pastors?
not a ton. That's a great question. I wonder, how that would be received. I think positively, but I do wonder: is it an issue of local pastors being naive? I don't know that it is. I think it's local pastors really desiring to be faithful
Right.
And
Like, good stewards of their
yes,
budget, all that.
absolutely good stewards of their budget.
Yes, but in that, are they looking for a unicorn that doesn't exist?
I do think that's often the case. Yeah, and part of that is related to just a misunderstanding of the proficiencies required for worship leadership. The resumes that we get for our students often are um, pretty much like you said, looking for a unicorn.
Mm.
That you're going to struggle to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right, last question for you.
Yeah.
How do visuals matter when it comes to, let's say, worship leading, let's say the university, what you're seeing in church world? Why do your graphics, video, why does the visual media matter so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it does and it doesn't. So maybe I could speak to both quickly. I think it does in the sense that uh, communication for us in the church, and it's always been this way. So this is not a new thing. It's not just since we've gotten ProPresenter and digital media and those kinds of things. The church has always communicated visually, whether that be with stained glass or beautiful buildings or paintings.
Right.
Our faith is a physical, visual faith.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I think it is important for us to portray that in appropriate physical ways.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, our faith is not primarily a visual faith. It's primarily a word-based faith. So as we look to the visual aid and the visual component of our churches, is it important? Yes, it is. Aesthetics matter. Space matters. But what matters most is our fidelity and commitment to the Word of God, because that's really what changes people.
Yeah, the visual's a tool or support.
Exactly right.
Yeah, good. Man, thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
yeah, thanks
time.
so
Really
much for having
appreciate all you guys are doing at Charleston Southern.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals. Executive produced by Carl Barnhill. Edited by Mario Franco. Title and show graphics by Angie Lomas. For more resources to help you visually communicate the gospel, visit churchvisuals.com.